Hello and welcome to Retro Reviews, my channel where I review my favorite retro video games of all time as well as some modern releases I have recently finished. Today I want to talk about a couple of projects that have been rumored to be in development that I thought are incredibly interesting that have not been making the rounds nearly as much as I thought they would on YouTube, especially for the commentary channels. So I really wanted to talk about it. The first and foremost being the Halo remaster or remake that's apparently in the works that's going to be coming to PlayStation 5. Now obviously this is a huge deal. Halo has only ever been on the Xbox and PC at this point, so going to a rival platform would be insane. And I think it's really smart of them to do the original Halo, one, because it's the origin of the series, but also because this is a chance for them to enter into the market for the PlayStation 5 with only one game at a time. The Xbox already has the Master Chief Collection with remastered versions of Halo 1, 2, and 3, and I believe ODST at this point now. I don't remember everything that goes in the package. I know it's a big bundle now. They already have access to that, where you can play as the classic graphics or the remastered. They don't need a Halo 1 remaster. Maybe a full remake from top to bottom. That could be appealing, but I would imagine a lot of people would just default back to the Halo Master Chief Collection. But if they launch the remake of Halo 1 on the PlayStation and just that game, people will buy it up in droves, and then they could have the potential to release Halo 2 remastered or remade, and then 3, and so on. They can do piecemeal, one at a time, kind of like how Nintendo did with Metroid Prime Remastered. There have been rumors for years and years that a whole trilogy was ready on the Switch, but they just didn't want to launch it, and it looks like they're just doing one piece at a time. I think this is a really smart business plan for Microsoft. They're already starting to port some of their exclusives over to other consoles, like Sea of Thieves recently has made a big splash on PlayStation 5, pun intended. But Halo going to PlayStation would be a huge deal. Because the player base is so large, they could capitalize on that player base itself, and we could get probably, tens of millions of copies sold, because everyone on PlayStation is going to want to play the original Halo, especially if you never played the originals, you've never had an Xbox. I think this would be a really good idea. I've seen this being reported on multiple journalism sites, especially IGN. They had a front page article for it. I'm just surprised I don't see a lot of people talking about it. I would really like to see it. I think it's pretty early in development. They said in the article itself, don't expect it at Summer Games Fest, and it didn't end up showing itself. So it's probably in the earlier stages, or that they're just maybe making deals and stuff right now with PlayStation to get it over there. But whatever it is, I really hope that it does come to fruition, because I think that would be a really cool way to get Halo on other platforms. I would imagine if the Switch 2 is powerful enough, it'll also go to Switch 2. Microsoft already has a great relationship with Nintendo, so I would imagine that would also be a thing. But the fact that they're porting their stuff over to PlayStation is a huge deal. Now, the other game I really wanted to talk about is a new Banjo game. Now, Banjo fans have been waiting for Banjo 3 for forever now at this point. Every single games conference, they're waiting for Microsoft to announce a new Banjo game, and it did not happen at Summer Games Fest. But this is another one that I've heard that is rumored to be in production, very early stages of production. And there are a couple hints that hint at this. There are some articles saying a new Banjo game is in development, but that has been making the rounds for a very long time. The most compelling reason that we believe that this is actually happening now is that Toys for Bob, who is collaborating with Microsoft on a new project, recently tweeted on, I believe it was May 31st, that they're developing a project with Microsoft in the very early stages of development. Now, this is the same developer responsible for the Spyro trilogy and the Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy, as well as Crash Bandicoot 4. All really smash hits for all metrics here. They did a great job remaking the original trilogy. For the most part, it's a very faithful remake. They did their own spin on things. The graphics look fantastic, and it plays really, really well. I liked both the Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy and the Spyro trilogy. I did a review on them early on in my channel. I think this makes a lot of sense for them to be working on a project with Microsoft, collaborating on making the new Banjo game, or maybe remaking the original Banjo-Kazooie. Maybe remaking both Banjo and Banjo-Tooie. I'm not sure. It makes the most sense to me to be remaking the original two in the platforming trilogy, in the platforming space, and then making a third to make it a whole trilogy. That makes the most sense to me. But whatever it is, it looks like Toys for Bob is collaborating with Microsoft, and that makes the most sense in my mind that they'd be working on a Banjo game. They did a great job with the Crash and the Spyro trilogies, and those are beloved platformers from the PlayStation 1 era. So now they go back all the way to the Nintendo 64 to remake Banjo. That just all lines up in my mind. And some other reports saying that a Banjo game is in development early stages kind of line up with each other. So that makes the most sense to me. Now, it also makes sense that they weren't announced at Summer Games Fest, especially like the Halo game. If it's further along in development, it's smart not to announce it right now because that was for their Xbox showcase. They could announce Halo coming to PlayStation 5 a lot later at a different conference, or let Sony take the reins for that one and make a big splash elsewhere. They didn't need it for this specific conference. Same thing with Banjo. They didn't need to debut like super early art or anything like that, or just an announcement. They had a ton of great announcements at their own conference just after Summer Games Fest. Their conference was leagues above Sony's, definitely leagues above Ubisoft's. Theirs was absolute trash. But Microsoft came out the gate swinging. They have some really good titles in development right now. I saw some tweet that was like, Microsoft realized that they own a third of the game's software market and decided they were actually going to make games. And that's kind of how it feels. They came out the gate swinging. You have a new Doom game that looks absolutely spectacular. Also coming to PlayStation 5. Not super surprised on that one. I assumed they would make that one multi-platform. The fact that it's coming and it looks so good, super exciting. That's one I'm very excited for. Also a new Gears of War game, a prequel Gears of War. People have been waiting for Gears of War to make a return, and I'm super excited for them. It looks phenomenal. I'm excited to see what direction they go to kind of like set up the entire series. I wouldn't be surprised if they got a collection ready for the Xbox as well and started like making Gears of War come back into the limelight. I really like Gears of War. I think it's really cool. It was one of the most innovative third-person shooters when it came out. So the fact that it's making a return on the Xbox is really fantastic. I'm excited for the Gears of War fans. You also have State of Decay 3, Perfect Dark making a return. Perfect Dark, I don't know if it really has the legs. I know the Perfect Dark on the 360 was awful, a terrible experience. I know this one was touted as like a quadruple A experience. Probably is costing them a lot of money, but it looks substantially better than the early teases we got for it forever ago. So the fact that it's making a return means they actually have something to show. It looks pretty good. I'm not super optimistic, but I'm hopeful because the original Perfect Dark on the Nintendo 64 is a banger. It's so good. So I really hope this new one actually lives up to the franchise legacy here. But you've got tons of other titles too. I know Avowed has got a lot of people interested. This is from Obsidian. You got a ton of other titles that I can't remember off the top of my head, but I remember looking at the little graphic of all the games that were announced and talked about. And it's huge. That lineup is insane. Xbox really needed a win. I know at the very beginning, got Phil Spencer talking about how he needed to make some tough decisions to make a profitable business. I don't think that's anywhere near good enough justification for closing something like Tango Gameworks especially, and closing down their studios that they bought up just recently. But the fact that they're coming out and showing off a lot of great games that they are developing themselves with all their properties that they have is great news for Xbox as a brand and for the fans of the console. I'm really excited to see all these games coming out as well. If not just for the Xbox fans, for the sake that they could potentially come to PlayStation later so more people can enjoy them. I think they had a killer conference. I think the Halo and Banjo-Kazooie rumors are really interesting. I would like to see when they start bubbling up and becoming more plausible. And I hope that they are announced in the next year or so, if they are in fact in development. But Microsoft looks like they have a really good slate coming up, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do going forward. But let me know in the comments what you thought of the Microsoft showcase, and if you think a Halo remaster or remake and Banjo-Kazooie finally making a return, do you think those are actually going to happen? Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.